Welcome, welcome. Getting everybody in here. Super awesome. Welcome. I'm so excited to see everybody today. Awesome. We had a couple other folks in. We'll give them a second to get in here. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily, and I'm super excited to talk to you today about finding lasting peace and fulfillment in your day so that you're not just ticking off all the boxes, but you're actually enjoying every moment of it. So, just out of curiosity, if you're willing to share where you're from, I'd love to hear it. And I'm from northern New Jersey, outside of New York City. It is like one of the most intense places to live in the country because it's just frenetic here. Like it's always go, 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 do, 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 be more, have more, achieve more, right? It's almost like this hamster wheel of just go, 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 go. And so sometimes it's hard to sit back and just be like, I can have peace. Like, that is totally cool. I can wake up every morning with peace and joy, look out the window, have a cup of coffee, right? Like, just move forward and enjoy my day. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, right? This idea of loving our life, of being able to live it fully as our whole selves. So it's not just about how much money we make or how much free time we have or how awesome the vacations are, but about are we really enjoying every moment? And this comes from actually reframing how we view our ROI. We were given a system. We were born into a school system, a society, a family, and they gave us a playbook of how to live our lives. And that was great. Super awesome that they gave us that playbook. But it doesn't necessarily mean we've engineered our lives for the fulfillment and the joy that we're looking for. The way we might engineer how much money we make, or how to succeed on a project, or how to optimize something. So, today, what our focus is on is really reframing this idea of how do we systematically engineer our dream life so that we're happy every single day. Awesome. Excellent. Wonderful. So I'm just curious if anyone's able to share, where you're from, what you're here for. I would love to hear it, right? Because our goal today is to help you meet your goals and achieve your vision, but be happy doing it, right? Happy and joyful while you're doing it. Imagine waking up in the morning and looking forward to each day with delight, right? So I know when I go on vacation, I have no problems getting up right away, hopping out of bed, right? Getting ready to go, getting to the airport, going on a plane, traveling. No problems at all. But I find sometimes, right, for that day to day, getting the kids to school, going to work, right? Getting everybody home at night, getting everybody ready for the next day. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. To avoid some cost, I'm just gonna have a cough drop though. And so how do we systematically set up our life so that we're looking forward to each day, even the mundane ones, right? The normal 9 to 5s. How do we get those going? So I'm curious with you folks, is it cool if I share a little bit about my story of how this happened? Because I went through a period in my life where I did not necessarily follow the Achiever's Playbook, right? Where I actually went against logic and took some action. So if you're just joining us, please feel free to share where you're from. Again, I'm Dr. Emily. I'm outside of New York City. I'd love to hear where you're from because today what we're really focusing on is how to love our life every single day. So we wake up and our day is filled with delight. That is the idea. But can we engineer that and actually systematically work towards that? Awesome. Welcome, Elizabeth from Texas. Great to see you. So good. Because that's what we're going to have today. And I'm a retired professor. I say retired because I retired to start my own company. But there's actually a really interesting piece there. And so I want to talk more about that, but I just want to let you know I'm used to engaging with the audience. And so And so I'm used to a room full of students, right? So if like I would love to know what you're here for and what you're hoping to gain so that I can literally customize today just for you because there's it's not going to be a big room, right? Awesome. Welcome, Melissa from Missouri. Great to see you. And so if there's something specific that you're looking for, I would absolutely love to hear it so that I can make sure that we cover that today. Awesome. Oh, I love it, Amanda. This is so good. Amanda is from the UK. Welcome. And is working towards a new vision for life, but wants to be able to be present and start enjoying life on the journey. I love that, Amanda. You're in exactly the right place. Thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. So if it's cool with you guys, is it cool if I share my story a little bit so you guys can hear like I literally walked this playbook that I'm going to share with you. And I've been doing it. I have been on this journey trying to learn how to do this for about 7 years now. And it did lead me to this really big life change. But I feel like in the past year, my journey has just accelerated where I finally clicked and got it. And I developed the system that I'm going to share with you today where I was able to systematically do it. So I've been working on it for 7 years, but if you've ever learned something, like there's like this beginner's phase where it's like everything is great and just goes smoothly. And then you really get into it and it's like all over the place. And so I've been kind of like this. My journey has been like up and down. But now my journey is still up and down, but it's up and to the right. So I'm going like this versus before I would improve my life. Oh, and I'd like fall into the ditch and be like so annoyed with how things were around me. And then I'd pick it up again for a couple days and then I'd fall back down, right? So basically, what I've done, and I'll tell you about today, is I created a system so that we can get on the fast path to peace and fulfillment, but not have to have all the backswings to give us a bouncing off point so we don't keep sliding back all the time, if this makes sense, right? So this is really about, I want to share my journey with you so you can see the power of this and just how incredible it can be. Carrie, welcome. I'm just going to mute you for a second. And please, if you're joining us, let us know where you're from. But what we're going to talk about today is how do we stop the slide? Because that's where I feel like I was on this hamster wheel again and again and again. I just couldn't seem to get there. And then I made a really big change and I still didn't get there. And I was like, what the heck, man? Anyways, so that's what this was born from. This was born from me going from being miserable in my life, having literally everything on paper that looks like I'm supposed to, being miserable and pivoting and changing it so that I actually am content and happy. I remember I used to like wake up contented like once a year. And like it was something of note. I'd like journal about it. Oh my God, I felt contentment today. Right? Versus now, it's like that is my default state. That's the baseline. Like I'm at peace. It's chill. Now I get to work on joy every day. Right now, joy is intermittent, but it's not so intermittent that I need to write a journal entry about it. But just like waking up and having each day be filled with delight and being so satisfied with what's happening around me and in my day to day. Like that's my dream for you to help you get there. So if you're down for that, hey Carrie from Illinois, welcome. That's what we're here for too. All right, that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so I will start and share with you just a little bit about me, and then we'll dive into this system and what this can look like for you. So I was a professor of computer science, right? So I went all the way through academia, had the PhD, all the things, got tenure, thought I had my dream job, and I was miserable. My family couldn't figure it out. They're like, on paper, people would really, really do a lot to have the situation I had. I couldn't be fired unless I did something really awful, like I was inappropriate with students. Like, okay, no, it's really easy to avoid um, losing tenure, right? Like, as long as you just show up and do your work, you're good. So I couldn't be fired. I only had to work 7 months out of the year. I worked for about 20 to 30 hours a week. I got paid just under six figures. Like, dream job here. Basically, no boss. Got to do what I felt like for the most part, as long as I ticked the boxes that my job cared about, which I could do in just a couple months out of the year. It was no big deal. I was good to go. Got to work with students, loved it. Except I was miserable. So on paper, I have this like incredible job, super stable. It gave me maternity leaves. It was a great job to help me have my kids. I have five kids, ages 3 to 13. So when my kids were small, it was really helpful to have something like maternity leave. But I was miserable. My blood pressure was high. I was going to acupuncture each week. I was doing yoga 4 days a week just to keep I lost my vision in my left eye for an entire summer. I went blind in an eye for a summer because of stress. And so I was really attentive to, okay, let me bring my stress down. Like, what is going on here? If you're high stress, I got every trick in the book to lower it. Um, it wasn't a good match for me. It was not a good fit, but it looks great on paper. So what gives? And so I just kept feeling called in my heart to like do something differently. So I tried doing day trading, totally random, I know. I was like, well, that's a good way to make extra money because at that point I had three kids. I'm living in a very expensive suburb of New York City where the average house price for like a typical three-bedroom split level from the 1970s, like we're not talking mansions here. Typical three bedrooms like $1 million. So, and my husband is a music teacher. So, like, I'm the primary provider for my family. He does benefits, which is great. And he can cover like the daycare for the kids, right? So it works. But really, it was a really high cost of living area. And we couldn't take vacations. Like to live in the area where we wanted to live, we were like stuck. And I was like, okay, let me go make some side hustle money. So I tried stock trading. Okay, no, that was good. I was really good at it, but I was also really good at letting it go. So that wasn't so good. But I felt really called that there was something else out there for me, right? Awesome. Awesome, Elizabeth. Yeah. And so I just felt called to become an entrepreneur and to start my own business. And I was like, I don't know any business owners. Like my parents worked for Bell Labs. They had like these career jobs for their whole life. Like I don't have it. I don't know anyone that does this. But I just kept feeling called to it and guided. And so I felt guided to walk away from this really safe and stable career and pivot. Right. And when you become a professor, I worked for like over 10 years to get that professorship. Right. And then tenure was another 5 or 6 on top of it. Like I basically spent 20 years down this career path. And I didn't make much in graduate school because you don't get paid much as a graduate student. And so really for a technical person, I had really hobbled my income potential for this job. Like I had sacrificed so much basically, right? It's like I'd given up a lot to be able to do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I'm supposed to do. But here's the flip side. So on paper, this looks like the craziest leap ever. Leaving total job security for entrepreneurship, where you never know where the money is coming from. Sometimes you don't know where the mortgage is coming from. Sometimes you don't know what's going on. And you take this leap. And I was guided to take that leap. In part, also, I was a computer science professor, but I started the innovation program at my university and I realized I couldn't take that any further without actually starting a business. So like there was a couple things that were coalescing. And I realized that I couldn't effectively teach software engineering, which is my major area of expertise, in a university setting. Like literally the way technology changes so fast, which everyone has seen with AI, you can't teach it in a traditional academic structure that was designed hundreds of years ago. Like it needs a different model. So all these things were applying pressure to me. I couldn't spend enough time with my kids. We didn't have time, like money to go on vacations. It was just like everything was there. I was like, okay, I'll walk away. I'll start a business. And within 3 years of starting my business, I made multiple millions of dollars. So more than I could have ever made at my old career. So that's an example of how following your guidance, your gut, can really lead to some powerful, powerful results. But it doesn't always look right on paper, on logic. Like if you talk to your family, they might be like, what are you thinking? Right? But you don't always see the full path. Just out of curiosity, has anyone ever like made a decision with their gut that kind of went against their logic a little bit? Has anyone ever done that? I'm just curious if anyone's like, you've experienced that, that like, oh, like I made this decision. It didn't make sense on paper, but oh my gosh, it was the right decision. Has anyone ever had that experience before? Just out of curiosity. Awesome. Melissa did. Carrie. Yeah. Right? Oh yeah, Amanda. Love it. Done it quite a lot. Good. Well, it sounds like you're on that path, Amanda, which is awesome. I just love that. Right? Yes, your intuition. That's exactly what it is. Right? That's exactly what it is. And so when we make decisions from logic, we're making it from our minds. Our minds are wonderful. They've gotten us through life. They helped us finish school. They help us achieve and feel awesome. But if we only live and decide from our mind, we're missing out that connection with the heart. And that's where we bring the intuition in. So I'm a systems engineer, right? I build software for a living. Like my original company is sunsetting, but the software company that I created is starting to flourish. And so I I follow this regularly, and I've learned a new way of thinking and being that allows me to guide me on that path. And Elizabeth, it definitely sounds like you're on that path as well. So imagine for a second, right? You have this gut reaction that guides you for a big decision. What if you could tune in for the little ones too? What if you could use that guidance not just for major decisions, but all the little ones so that you could actually get where you're trying to go faster? And so, what I have learned over time from experiencing this and living this and being connected and learning to reconnect my head and my heart so they can work together in concert, my mind and my body, right? I'm reconnecting them so they can work together in concert. And it is so powerful, especially as it works for anyone in any line of work, but especially for an entrepreneur or a business owner where you have to take leaps of faith on a regular basis. Like life is basically a leap of faith at this point. AI is changing everything so rapidly. Like, oh my goodness, we're all here, but you can actually feel into those decisions before you make them. So at this point, I don't actually have to take action. I can just decide that I want to go this way, and I will get feedback on if that's the right move or not. I don't have to be anxious or worried about making the wrong choice because I'm going to get direct, instant feedback if it is or it isn't. And I've started to learn now that I've really honed this, I can look back at decisions I've made that where I felt my intuition guiding me, and I've lived it long enough that I actually lived through the future moments where that feeling occurred. And so I realize it it's really a direct line back, right? So life is like a river, right? We're floating along it. We have all these choices. We can go this way, we can go that way. Which way? Right? If we use our minds, cool, that's better than nothing, right? But we don't actually know if our mind will make a choice that makes sense for us and where we want to go using looking at all of our goals, right? Not just maybe like time or money or security, right? How could I have known when only less than 1% of businesses even get to $1 million at all in their first 5 to 10 years, that I would create a business for my very first one that hit over 2 million in less than 3 years, my very first business. Like I could have never predicted that. That's like a unicorn. It doesn't align with what the world tells us, what the data tells us. So if we only use our minds and the data that we get from the world, we could be missing out on decisions that are optimal for us. And just to share full circle, when I became a business owner, even though there's like all this potential stress and risk around it because like the money is not as consistent as it was in a steady, stable job like being a professor, my blood pressure instantly lowered. I don't have stress issues anymore. It's just like all that overhead I was carrying went away because I had been making choices to help the people around me feel safe instead of what I actually needed to thrive in this lifetime. And so that's the transition that I've been on that I'm hoping to help you with today is how to use that inner knowing. And in the beginning, my inner compass was broken. I got to be honest. It was not telling me where I wanted to go. You get to pick the map, right? You pick the map, and then your inner compass guides you. But if you've been ignoring your inner compass for an entire lifetime because we've been training our mind in school and in work, right? It makes total sense. If you've been ignoring your inner compass, it may not work appropriately for you right away. It might, lead you on a merry dance in the beginning as you learn to tune in. Now I've been using this skill and really honing it. Really, in the past year, I've really honed it, but I've been working on developing it for about 7 years. I, I, I know. And in fact, anytime I don't listen, because I'm a rebel, I have trouble with authority, even if it's my own. And so, of course, I want to, you're not the boss of me, even though it's me. I still don't always listen. And then I can see, oh, that's why I needed to listen. Look at that negative thing that happened. Oh, I would have liked to avoid that. Okay. Right. So gradually, I've learned to work with my compass instead of against it. And so things just flow. Things just flow. Let me see here. We got some awesome stuff in the chat. Let me take a second to look. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Like go learn. So like basically the system I'll talk to you about today is about learning how to tune into your intuition, right? I created a system to basically what I do no matter where I am is I debug. Whether I debug software, I debug businesses, I debugged my life, right? I'm basically a life engineer. And so I engineered this system so that you can hear your intuition more clearly and learn to hone it and work with it as like I said. So like some people have, I don't know if you've heard of manifesting, right? Some people have gone down the path of like, you envision what you want, which is very important, but then they get frustrated if it doesn't happen. And so they're like, well, what's going on here? Manifestation must not work. Well, it's based on principles that do work, and I can give you some scientific studies that go back to it. But if you don't have a system in place to correct, you'll you're not going to get there and it's just going to be frustrating, right? So I use the system I use today. I use to create 10K in a day, 20K in a day, like basically to create anything I need in my business, which makes it a lot more relaxing as a business owner and just living my life if I know whatever I decide I can have, right? And I will be guided to the actions that optimally and quickly bring that item to me. A couple weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I, like I want to make sure I pay my staff and myself. I don't have enough money in the bank account right now. I'm creating 20K today. And lo and behold, by the end of the day, after about half an hour's work, 20K was on its way into my account. It didn't come in that day, right? I had to make some, I had to go find some, like it was a combination, but I was guided on what to do. And it happened. Like that's how fast and easily and effortlessly you can create when you've aligned, right? Your head and your heart are working together, your mind and your body, and you're listening and your compass is tuned. And I think where people get stuck is we've spent a lifetime training our minds and listening to our minds and letting our minds dictate everything. But our minds can only respond to the data that is here. But our hearts can connect to our whole selves, our entire experience, and can actually guide us more effectively. And so learning to tune into that, to hear it loudly, and to be able to listen to it and know it's guiding correctly, to learn to trust it really, right, is learning to trust your gut in everything. So at this point, to give you a taste of where this can go, right, it can be used for decisions large and small. I use this in restaurants to guide me on what to eat and what I will enjoy the most. Sometimes I'll even use it to guide me to a restaurant. Oh, I was traveling recently and I saw a Mexican restaurant. I was like, oh, should I have Mexican for dinner? Instantly felt sick to my stomach. Nope, not going to go there. Right? Like, so it doesn't, when you get this honed, the feedback can be instantaneous. It can truly be instantaneous. And so the guidance comes in many forms. That's how the guidance, one of the forms the guidance takes for me. I might feel it in my body. I might get a message. I might feel a firmness or an expansiveness or a contraction. So like if I'm feeling small, that would be a no, right? If I'm feeling expansive and big, that would be like a yeah, green light, go for it. And so learning to tune into that so that you can be intuitively guided and tune into your inner knowing for every decision. And this is a real shift because most of us were taught to achieve, right? And we get that we chase after a goal, we get this brief satisfaction, and then what? And we chase the next thing, right? And it's just this never-ending cycle because we're always looking for happiness out there. But if you start from in here, that's true power. And when you tune in to what you actually need fully, it allows you to be more of yourself and to be more for those around you. It allows you to contribute even more deeply, right? Exactly, Amanda, right? Taking the work to learn to tune into our intuition. Exactly. This is like I was a scientist, right? Like I went all in. I took statistics in graduate school for fun. Like if it's something intellectual and of the mind, I'm like all over it. So it took me time. Like I basically completely disassociated, right? Like completely cut off my head from my heart. They were disconnected. And so it was a little bit difficult. But I had used my gut for some really important life decisions. And so, and because they paid off, that motivated me. It gave me that desire to learn how to use it even more. So now I can use it for little things because that's part of the challenge is you don't know which decisions are little, right? Sometimes big things come from small decisions. And so for you, it might be, oh, should I write in red or blue today? It might be small, but when you get to it, it could be that becomes like your manifesto that you put on your wall and you need to see it in this color because it's brighter across the room. Like there's so many considerations. Our minds would explode, right? Trying to think through everything and get overwhelmed. In fact, that's something I'm working on now is to release that overwhelm. But our intuition just knows that at any moment in time, there's really only one most important next step to do. It might be self-care. It might be taking action towards your goals. Like, who knows? It could be spending time with your friends and family, whatever it is. But learning to tune into that so that you don't get overwhelmed. Right now, I'm in the process of launching two businesses and multiple offers simultaneously. Most people do one business and one offer at a time. I'm not wired that way. I like to do lots of things. I like to go fast. That's why there's a car behind me because I love going fast. And so, but when I think about all the things that I'm moving forward this spring, I start to get overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I let it go. I was like, okay, intuition, what do I need today? Right? What do I need to move forward today? Okay, this week it's this offer. Next week it might be a different one, but this week it's this offer. And so I just let it go. Like, let go of micromanaging my life. And I just learned to tune into my intuition. And this goes with a system of also as a software engineer, I like to call it programming, right? But you can also like you're programming your life, you're engineering your life. So it's not just I'm floating on the river, going wherever it feels like taking me. It says, hey, river, I want to go there. And getting on the raft and letting it direct you on the fastest path to where you'd like to go. Right. So it is a dialogue. It's not just like, okay, where should I go? Because you have a say in the direction where you want to go to. Yeah, Amanda, for sure. Overwhelm is no joke, for sure. What I love about this technique, though, of learning to tune in your intuition, is that it doesn't need to be overwhelming, and it just lets you let go of all the data. Like when I'm guided to do something that is unusual, right? Like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to go this way, and that's where my guidance is telling me, okay, I'm going that way. I don't. I let it go. I, I just know now after trusting it and building that trust over years, I just know that's the path for me. I don't have to second guess it anymore. I don't have to have anxiety over if it was the right thing or not. And if for any reason I choose my intuition guides me on a path with experiences I would not have chosen, that's always a wake-up call that there's a really important lesson for me in that. And so it really becomes this fun way of navigating the world where you get to have what you desire on the fastest path possible, the easiest path possible, and everything becomes a learning opportunity. Like literally, the world is our classroom. So super fun. So just out of curiosity, is ever like I would love to know if you guys have experience with how important mindset is because learning to tune into your inner knowing is really about setting your mindset to hear it. And I wondered if everyone has had this experience where your mindset can literally determine your reality. Has everyone had, I don't know, has anyone had that aha? I guess would be the first question. And is it cool if I go into a couple scientific studies where they've had this experience? Are you guys cool with that? Let me know in the chat or give me an emoji. Just let me know. Perfect. All right, I'll just give you a brief overview because it sounds like awesome. I love it, Marie. Yeah, calm mind says this in making the positive decisions. Yes. Okay, good. Carrie, mindset is so very important. I've lost my direction along the way. Yeah, absolutely. So I will just tie in a couple brief notes just for anyone who hasn't had this aha yet. But there was a study, a milkshake study, where they took two groups of people, and the milkshake had the same calories, about 300 calories. They told one group it was a sensible shake, it was like 100 something calories. And they told another group it was like 600 calories. It was an indulgent shake. Guess who lost weight eating the milkshake? The people that were told that the milkshake was a light shake, their bodies like were still hungry after they got the milkshake. The people that were told it was indulgent, their bodies like processed it really, really fast because they thought it was a really heavy, high caloric milkshake. So literally, the mindset, what you think about things can determine your physiology, right? They did another study with a group of housekeepers where the housekeepers didn't realize that the work they did, like housekeeping is actually very active work. It's very physical, right? They were changing beds, right? Like putting new linens on, like vacuuming all day long. And most of them didn't think of it as physical labor. But then when they told half of the housekeepers that it was physical labor, they found that the people that were told their job was physical labor with no other changes in their life lost weight. All and their health markers improved, like blood pressure and everything. Oh, okay, awesome, Amanda. I love that. Perfect. But yeah, the housekeeping study is incredible. Like just how you think about something, your intent behind something completely changes the outcome. It even changes your physiology. So everything we learned in school about science is true at some level, but our minds can trump that. Our mindset, how we think about it. And so that's why tuning in between our minds and our intuition with our hearts, unifying our mind and our bodies, learning to leverage and harness this power, it's a total game changer. Because like you can just say, "Hey, I want to create 10K this week." Okay, what should I do? Oh, that sounds like a good offer. Great. I'll go do it. Boom. And when I first learned to do this, I said, I made a goal about a year ago. I said, I'm gonna make 10K this week. And it got to a week later. I don't have 10K in my account yet. What's going on? Well, because I hadn't kept listening. Because it's a new habit, right? To listen all the time continuously. It was a new habit. And that helped me tune in and listen because I was like, wait a minute. I knew I had 10K coming this week and it's not here yet. What gives? And then I realized at the 11th hour, I needed to send an email. And then within 24 hours of sending that email, over 10K come into my account. So like it was literally like that's that's how a system can help because this is so powerful and it's accessible and available to absolutely each and every one of us. If you have ever made a gut decision and like had that go against logic but be the right choice for you, you've already felt the power of your inner compass, of your inner guidance system. But imagine if you could learn to actually tune in and harness that for way more decisions in your life, right? That's some power, like on a weekly basis or a daily basis. Like it's really nice. It's really cool. And I realized over time that what I'm really doing is feeling forward into my future a little bit, and I'm like pulling that back. And so now I use it all the time and I can see some of those really like gut choices I made. I was feeling the experience I would have on that path. the gift was that I received it in that moment earlier so I could know, okay, this is where I'm going. This is what'll happen when I go this direction, right? And just the ability to feel into your decisions and tap into your inner knowing. Like, no more analysis paralysis, no more how many experts do I have to consult? How much data do I need to read? Like, I don't need to go like when you make these decisions, you can still use all the tools and the data and the AI to execute, but you know where you're going. It takes the guesswork out of it, right? The you, perfect peace becomes much easier when you know you're on the path that you're meant to be on. That's going to be the most joyful path for you in this moment, most peaceful and joyful path. Exactly. Love that. So that's really what I want to talk to you about today, right? Is what if your best decisions weren't made with your mind, but with your whole self, tapping in to that intuition, right? Tapping into that intuition. Amanda says, I used to be addicted to researching every decision so much that I ended up frozen. Yup, been there. Before I even bought a house, I would practice buying houses every freaking week. Oh, which house would I buy this week if I was going to buy a house? And then next week, which anyways, I've been there, right? It's really easy to get overwhelmed. And the cool thing about the intuition is once you've tuned into it and you trust it, right? There are two phases to this, right? If you're not tapped into your intuition and you're not trusting it yet, there's still a transitionary period. But as soon as you start seeing it working, it, it's a total game changer. It's a total game changer. And so one of the challenges here is we do need to shift our mindset around ROI, right? Most of us think of ROI, return on investment, as being related to time and money. How can we make the most money with the least time investment, right? That's mostly what the world focuses on, right? When we go to school, when we get a job, when we're in business, that's what people are focusing on. And so you might also focus on that. I know when I was, before I learned to tune into my inner knowing, I was like, okay, how much money can I make for how little time? And how much can I enjoy the time that I am giving to my job? But I wanted to maximize my time off. Now I realize I actually really enjoy working and I don't actually need to maximize my time off, but I want to maximize how I get to spend my time off, right? Like what I'm doing with that time. Anyway, so like it depends. But I reframed my ROI, my return on investment, and I'm no longer focused on money and time. I'm focused on peace and joy and energy, right? What is the energetic return on this? So it's a little bit of a different equation. And I can absolutely give you an example of this. I can absolutely give you an example of this. So, in fact, this is recent. This is this week. And if you're on my email list, you may have an email from me detailing way more detail on this. So I'll tell you, give me 1 second. So I had a situation with my car. I have 5 kids, so we have to have a minivan or something that holds at least 7 people. And so last year, I made a choice out of panic. It was before I had really tuned into my intuition, so I was still using my mind. And I panicked. It died on us in a really uncomfortable situation that was cold. It kind of put my family in danger, and I freaked out. And I was like, forget it. I don't want this van anymore. We have to go get a new one. Where in fact, it probably would have been fine, but I was freaked out. So I was like, okay, let's get a Honda. Now, I've already talked about how much I like to go fast. Anyone who has ever driven a Honda, they are not built for speed, right? Or at least the minivans are not. They're like go-karts that seat 8 people. And so I insisted we get a new car, and I was like, okay, I'll just go get the most reliable car. We got a new one. And I realized within a week that it was probably a mistake, but I didn't take action. And then within 3 months, it was in the shop, brand new, and it wasn't reliable because it wasn't in alignment. So it didn't matter what it wasn't in alignment. And so over time, like this became a real sticking point for me because it was a reminder every day of a mistake I had made and where I had gone. I had basically denied myself. I was judging myself and I had denied who I am as a person. I like to go fast. It is what it is. Like I enjoy fast cars. And so every morning I'm being reminded of this. morning after morning, again and again. And so I started taking two every month for a week. I'd rent a car I did like. That's how I started. And I was also interviewing my next car. And so eventually, I finally realized that I could actually leave this situation behind me and instead choose a car that sparks joy every day. So, to share with you some of the cost of this, now some people might say, oh, just suck it up, it's a car, right? But this is actually part of who I am. And the challenge as an entrepreneur for me is that every day after morning drop off, I was putting myself into a smaller version of myself. And I would like the soccer mom mode version of me. I am a CEO. I do a lot of heavy brain work. I need to be at the top of my game in terms of mindset. And I was having to spend an hour or two every morning after morning drop off driving that stinking van, resetting myself to be me. So I'm doing all this extra work to accommodate this car. Or, right? So now if you look on paper with logic, let's just make it purely logical. The car was like 52 grand new. The loan was 45K because we've only had it like a year. To get the value of the car is like 40 grand. It's underwater. I had to pay $5,000 to stop driving this car. $5,000. Anyone would look at those numbers and think, ah, just keep it for the 3 years and give it back, right? Or I could find a car that is a joy to drive, fast, cuts my family's debt overhead by 20 grand and cuts our payments in half every single month. Now that's a win on paper too. I do have to pay that 5 grand, but look at all the things I can get. And now every day, just walking by our driveway, I smile. Oh, look at that car I get to drive in my driveway. I smile every single day. I smile every time I get behind the wheel. I don't hesitate to volunteer to drive on a long car trip because I love the chance to drive this car, right? So it's not a new car like the other one was. It's a late model, but it's a joy to drive. And so what I actually bought, right? I wasn't selling a car and buying a car. I was releasing self-denial and self-judgment and embracing my joy. I embraced joy every single day. Do you see the power of that energetically, like in your day, of going from this constant reminder of like ugh to like yes, every single like just I'm sure you guys can see like just the difference in my face from one to the other. But I want to be clear that it's not about the car, right? It's about releasing who I was and a mistake that I had made, just acknowledging it, letting it go, allowing it to leave my energetic field, and embracing a decision that serves me better in this moment, that serves my financial needs, my family, and me in a better way. And it might not be logical, right? Like my husband's like, why don't we just suffer with the car as is? It's not that big a deal. It gets us from A to B, right? And I'm like, like this is something that's super important to me. And now I know, right? Now I won't make that mistake in the future. But what I'm really buying is, and embracing is joy. Now, if cars aren't your thing, it's no big deal. I'm just using that as an example. But that's the kind of decision making our intuition can help us with, right? And what I found really impressive is that I was able to make this happen in basically a week. Like I knew I was going to make it happen, and then I did it. I made the choice while I was traveling, and I had rented a dream car. It was a Mercedes AMG. So if you're a car enthusiast, the AMG is like next level. I paid more for the car than I paid for the lodging for my trip. It was such a joy. And while I was there, I was like, you know what? Let me see how to make this happen at home. Why am I suffering? Why am I perpetuating this suffering? And I found a path. I was actually ecstatic. I cried a little. I was so joyful. It's like, oh my gosh. And then I came home and within 2 days, I changed it. Done. Now it's gone. I get to let it go. I spent like months and months and months agonizing over it, like beating myself up and psh, gone. Don't need it anymore. Pretty awesome, right? Pretty awesome. Amanda, totally hear you. Couldn't believe how much changing my car made me how I feel. I know, exactly. And it doesn't have to be a car, right? But what I want to be clear on is the change was intentional. right? The change was about seeking joy and the ROI on that. And yes, I used my mind to analyze the financial implications of it, but it was really about the joy because any one external change doesn't matter, but it's how I feel inside, right? It's how I'm responding to that change, right? And I did get to a place where I was like, okay, this car's job is to drive the way I like it, right? And so I just drove the car. I'm not changing how I drive for the car. I'm just driving the car. But at the end of the day, it was really nice, right? To make that switch. And so what I'd love for you to do right now is just to take a moment, right? And to think about a decision that you made, right? Not in your body, not just your head. And we're going to do an exercise in just a couple minutes where you can really tune into this, right? To get started. But we want to focus on that decision, a time where you used your gut and it really paid off and you really felt it. Does everyone have that decision in their minds? Right? So part of the reason why our gut spoke up to us is because that decision was so important, right? Like that we couldn't like until we make that choice, we make that decision, we move in that direction, our lives aren't going where they're designed to go. One of the things that helps us with learning to hear our intuition is keeping ourselves chill, right? Like that's the first, it's almost like peace is the first step of this process, but learning to listen to your intuition is how you keep it, right? Because if like we can work together and I can help you find peace. In fact, we'll find peace today. We'll do a quick exercise. Like you'll find peace right now. But if you keep getting triggered by the things in your life that are happening that are going against your inner knowing, you're not going to keep it, right? That's why we need a system because life happens. We don't like, oh my gosh, when I go on vacation, I leave my family home, or I call it vacation. It's a business trip. No, no, it's a business trip. Every quarter I go on a business trip. I think about my business, it's just, me and the business. But if I didn't, when I do that, like it's so easy to be at the top of my game. And then I come home and I integrate and I interact with others and I get, knocked off a little bit. This happens, that happens. I mean, 5 kids, there's a lot happening, right? And so gradually I learn to maintain that level of peace with everybody else. But, life has little moments that zing ya, right? And so we have to learn to maintain that foundation of peace all the time, no matter the circumstances, right? And also work towards changing our circumstances. So, back to the car. Yes. So the car was a Mercedes. I have accepted the fact that I have never found a Mercedes I didn't enjoy driving of all the rental cars I've done. I've tried Beamers and Cadillacs and other things, but I always come back to Mercedes. I had one in my 20s, a real like cheapo one, like a coupe. And yeah, it's why I went with a Chrysler van originally because they had been co-owned for a little while, and so it had a lot of those nice touches. Um, but it's an old model. It's a GL. So it's like the height of luxury. To be honest, we got one used. It had more upgrades than the cost we paid for it. Like what the original owner paid in upgrades on this thing is like more than what we paid for it. And it only has like 50,000 miles on it. Like super awesome. So I got the height of luxury. It's just a little couple years older, but really good on miles. So it was a really good fit for us. And yeah, it was a lovely experience. But I went from a Honda Odyssey to that. I do love the Pacifica. For vans, our family loved it. It was just a squirrel got in and ate it, and that didn't make me feel very good. Um, on our old one. That's how I know things are time to go. They start getting destroyed around me. Because I embody discernment. And when things are out of alignment, discernment destroys things are not in alignment. And I see that in my life. So that's like a signal that I use. I don't know if this is true for everybody, but it's certainly true for me that my presence, my energy, my frequency will destroy things that are out of alignment in my field. And that can include cars. As soon as I realized I really needed to get rid of this thing, I backed it into somebody. Like I normally don't hit, like I haven't driven into anything for like a decade. Like, and suddenly it's a signal, right? It's a signal. My knowing didn't flare. I was like, okay, I'm listening. I'm listening. So yeah, no, very, very nice. Oh my goodness, that's incredible, Marie. Picked up your entire life in New York and moved to Georgia. That's wonderful. That's awesome. Good for you. So, what we can do together today, right, is I want to give you a chance to feel this sense of peace. And then I can talk to you if you have time. I'm happy to talk to you more about this framework about how to achieve peace and keep it as you're working towards the next level of you, right? So it's having that stable peace because having that stable peace is what's going to allow you to hear because what usually happens is, I don't know about you, but I have an inner monologue that might commentate on the things that are happening around me. And if I'm being annoyed or triggered or like something's happening, I can't hear my intuition. At this point in my life, I don't have to like clear everything so much. Like I'm better at hearing. But in the beginning, I had to get myself alone, empty room, do some grounding exercises, right? Like it took me time to learn to tune in. And I would do it like at the beginning and the end of the day when I could be alone. Now I can bring my knowing with me into situations. So like I can use it to decide what menu item at this restaurant will delight me most. Right? Like that's great. Like doing it in real time like that's the true power of this. But you don't necessarily start there, right? Because it takes time to tune in. So let's do that now. Let's start because I know we're coming I want to be respectful of your time. So let's start. Take a moment, take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. You can close your eyes if you want, right? And what I'd love for you to do is to feel your feet on the floor. Feel what it feels like. Like, are you wearing socks? Are you barefoot? Feel how your feet connect to the floor and follow that sensation up. If you're sitting, feel your bottom on your seat. And as you're doing that, think of a line coming through your bottom and into the earth, right? So your feet are on the floor. It's like a beam of light from your core through the floor into the core of the earth. Like imagine you're really tapping in there, that you're not just rooted in your chair in your space, you're literally rooted to the earth below. And imagine that same line extends a golden line all the way up, straight up through the top of your head, shooting out through your crown, through the universe, right through the atmosphere, into the stars. So you are present, grounded in this moment, in this moment. Now, I want you to take another deep breath. Let's check in with our body. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop if you feel like they're hunched up a little bit. Just let them go. And just feel the movement of the energy. And take a moment to remember the most comfortable space you've ever been. Like you're cradled like a baby, floating on the river of life. You're perfectly supported. Every need is lovingly met and wonderfully met. If you hold any tension, imagine it just flowing out like water down the drain of a bathtub, just flowing away. It's gone. You're like Jello because you're so well supported. Life is just awesome. You may feel a release or a cool tingling in your back. Just melt into it. Feel into it. Imagine snuggling even deeper still. cozy, cared for, loved. You're completely relaxed, floating on the river of life. For the next 60 seconds, your only job is to be here. Not to think, not to plan, just to be. Just to be. And now I'd like to call your attention back to how you're feeling, to notice what that felt like. You can wiggle your toes and your fingers, open your eyes as it feels right to do so. And I'd love to hear if you have a moment to share what you feel like now. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Amanda. Amanda feels calmer and lighter. It's so good. So good. Awesome. Or if it's easier for you to share on a scale of 1 to 10 where you're feeling right now, that'd be lovely. I'd love to know. For some, it might have been the most peaceful 60 seconds of your whole week. And we didn't even do anything. We just were, right? Pretty awesome. And so the question is, would you like to feel that every day and not just for a few moments here and there, right? To actually be able to build that level of calm and peace all the time throughout your days. Sorry about that. That's that backdrop that makes it so easy to hear your inner guidance, to hear your intuition. Because there's not as much noise, right? It's just peace, peace. Awesome. So would it be helpful? Would you guys like to see the 4-part process? I love it, Marie. Much calmer. Love it. Would you guys like to see the 4-part process that I use to help tune into my inner guidance, my intuition, and really hone that in? Would you guys like to see that? Awesome. Love it. All right, cool. And I'll just do a quick screen share on this one because I think it'll be helpful. Let me see here. Excellent. All right, sweet. Cool. Let's see. There we go. Oh, shoot. Okay. Everybody see that okay? You can see that okay? Awesome. Loving it. Okay, cool. Let me just bring the chat up in case you guys have any questions. I want to make sure I can see it. Okay, excellent. So the Serenity framework that I use, I'm actually wondering, I might just go to my, that's okay. No, this is good. So it's a 4-pillar process. The first step is to rewire. It's to rewire. We need to rewire our thought patterns. This is where we're doing that initial mindset work. A big part of this rewiring is reframing, right? We're reframing from whatever enters our field, our experience, our lives, we're shifting it and reframing to see how it serves us, right? So it allows us to release some of the negative mindset and energy that's coming towards us and to let it go and to realize how it deeply serves us. And so what I include is 3 important parts, right? There's what do we do every day to like set the tone of our day to rewire that? And then something unexpected happens. It is not to our taste. How do we hit the reset button to reclaim the piece we just had, right? To rewire that, and then let it go, and then let it go. So it's a 3-part process where we're moving ourselves forward. We have a tool for catching us when we swing back, and to help move us forward consistently. So we're going from that never enoughness to having what we need, right? And we're really rewiring our thought patterns to really see the good in our day. The second pillar is reconnecting. So that's where we're reconnecting our head and our heart, our body and our guidance. We're clearing the static so that we can hear our inner knowing clearly. Because our inner knowing can communicate in a number of different ways, and each of us may have slightly different means of hearing it. It actually doesn't matter how you hear it as long as you hear it. In fact, you might start one way and learn to hear in other ways, right? Sometimes my body talks to me. Sometimes I do receive things through my mind, right? I hear words, whatever I need. But I have to have a base level of openness to be able to hear that clearly, right? I have to allow some of the static, the background noise, as it were, to let go. The third pillar is recalibrate, right? This is where we recalibrate your compass. Remember, if you recall, you get to pick the map. You get to pick where you're going, but your compass tells you how to get there, right? So we need to recalibrate your compass so that you can align with what you actually want. Let's see, I'm trying to find my mute so I can cough. It's hidden from me. Hold on. Try not to blow your ears out. I don't know where my mute button went. Ah, there it is. Thank you for that. All right, excellent. And so in those phases, right, in the reconnecting, right, we're really learning to tune into our bodies. We're tuning in to how do we hear, right? Just how do we hear? And so I've created a system for tuning into that. And so that's where you get to align with what you actually want. So the recalibration phase is actually where I start to, like for me, every day, I write out what I'm having. Not just in that day, but what is my reality day by day? What am I living, right? That I always have more than enough, that money flows effortlessly to me, that I'm, losing a pound of weight today or 2 pounds or whatever it is. Whatever my goals are, I'm creating 5K today. Whatever my goals are, that's what goes into it. And that's a really important part of the process. It becomes the foundation for my listening. But I can't hear it unless I've gone through the rewire and the reconnect pillars first. That's number 3, recalibrate. The final pillar is reclaim. This is where you reclaim your sovereignty, where you're showing up as you, your fullest self, your whole self, not just your head, not just your heart, but both integrated. This is where you own your internal state no matter what. This is where peace becomes easy, where you can listen and be guided. And I love that so many of you are having these experiences of being guided to move to other places and that you're trusting that. That is just hats off. That is so amazing, right? That's so incredible. It's that kind of trust that you'll need to tune into it, to tune into it, right? And so that reclaim phase, right? This is where you're living, right? You're living in that peaceful state, right? And you're starting to move to the next level where you're releasing some of the resistance that has been preventing you from having what you actually have been dreaming about. And so once we have that peaceful foundation, we can move forward. Oh, sorry, Carrie, I'm going to mute you. I'm hearing some background noise there. That's when we have, right, the next level where we can start to make joy the focus of our day and not just peace, right? But the peace is the starting point because without the peace, we're not going to have the fulfillment either because we're not going to be able to get through these four stages. So reclaim is really the final piece, right? Where we put all the pieces together and then we start living it and we start making decisions from it and getting to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Now I have an invitation for you if you're interested. And I would love to hear more about you and your goals. And we can even customize this pathway specifically for you and what your dreams are and where you're trying to go. Like I know, Marie and Carrie and Amanda, I know you've all, and Elizabeth, you had different things, right? Different goals that you're working on. So if you would like, I would absolutely love to take a few minutes to chat this week about what your goals are and see if there's a way that I can help you move them forward, right? So it's no commitment, just a few minutes of your time and my time this week, no biggie. But I would love to really support you in a deeper way than we can do in this group setting here, if you're open to it. Other than that, though, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you have any questions about the pillars. Awesome. Carrie, do you see the link in the chat? I know you're on your phone. You might have to swipe or to press a button to see it. No worries. It's all good, Carrie. You're good. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good. And you can also reply to any of the emails that you received about this event, and I'd be happy to send you the link as well if you can't find it for any reason. Super good. Yep. Awesome. So are there any questions that I can answer? Awesome. Amanda has the link. So good. So, so good. Yeah. So if there's one thing that I could do to help you move forward today, what would it be? Are there any questions? Anything anyone would like to learn more about or to hear? While you're thinking about that, what I would like to say is I would like to thank you for your time today, for showing up for you and allowing me to participate in your journey. I'm so excited for all the incredible things that you all shared and the amazing things that you are all doing, right? So just hats off. You're doing awesome. Maybe some of the practices that I use in the four steps. Absolutely, Amanda. And I think this will be easier to do more specifically on a call. But some of the things that I do, right, is I am basically engineering my life to be my dream life, right? And it starts from the daily habits of listening, right? And so we actually don't have time to share all the details of the steps, but I think the core one, if I can leave you with one, right? The core one is to take the time to write out what you specifically would like to see in your life and then reaffirm that and write that every day. Like that was the one where I started, right? That really turned the corner for me. But all of the pillars are important, right? From the rewiring to the reconnecting. Because if you're not connected with your head and your heart, you can't always trust the information that you're hearing because you need to make sure it's yours, that it's true to you and your goals. But that was the key for me that really unlocked everything. I'd done all the other things leading up to that. So, but that was the one thing that I found the most effective. And I really made a meal of it. I like use all these colored pens. I have a special writing desk under a window that I love. I'll put incense on. I made it something that's like an event in my day that soothes me, that helps me reset. And so, like for instance, yesterday was a really busy day. One of my children went did their first communion, and I'm a soprano, and I volunteer at my church, and so I sang for it as well. So I had a role to play, right? So it wasn't just like I was observing a first communion. I was also participating in the service itself. So we had all our family over, right? And I was signed up to go mentor at a hackathon last night. And so I was feeling kind of worn out, right? I have a little bit of crud on my voice as well. And so I was just kind of feeling energetically low. So I went to my office, right? I went to my writing desk and I sat down and I wrote, right, what I'm having. I keep it on my phone. Like I write the same thing all the time. It evolves over time. I change it as things feel true and unnecessary. And so as I level up and energetically and consciously, I change it and updates. And I sat down, I wrote that, right? I have some other practices. You know, there's a book that I like to read. Um, I repeat my daily mantras. My day is filled with delight. Whatever I'm having, whatever is true for me, or whatever I desire to be true for me, right? I put those in. I have a couple little exercises I do. Those you could swap those out. The most important thing is that you're just revving up the energy in your body. And then within about 10 minutes, maybe a half hour, I might have given myself like a half hour, 40 minutes. I did have to do a little bit of work before I left to make sure my web page that I'd be sharing was really up to snuff. So I did a little bit of work, but within like a half hour, 40 minutes, I was ready to go. Okay. I kept going and my energy was reset, right? The key is being able to reset, right? So it's learning how to move yourself forward and it's learning how to reset when you fall back. And that was really the game changer for me because what would happen is I could move myself forward and then I'd backslide and it would be like falling into the ditch and I couldn't get out of it. And it's like imagine like being a toddler lying on
Why?
your back, like kicking your legs and screaming, right? Like, ah, why? Like that's kind of what would happen to me. Like I'd move forward and then I'd like fall back into woe is me. Oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Like I would just get so frustrated. And the contrast was like even worse because I had hit such a high before and then I'd fall off, right? And I'd fall off. So that was really frustrating to me. But now with these practices, I have these resets that I can do. Even, I feel like energetically, I feel like I'm stretched a little thin. And then I hit a reset and then I'm rejuvenated. I go about my day and continue. But I find it's really helpful as a business owner, especially too, that I have these tools that I can turn to whenever I need them. And everyone can build this set of practices, right? It's just I've created a system where they all work synergistically together to help you get there a little bit faster because that's what I'm good at. That's my genius zone. Awesome. Awesome. Super great. Great question, Amanda. Great question. Any other questions I can answer today? Just let me know. Was this helpful? I guess that'd be the other thing. Was this helpful? Yes, no, maybe. Good. I'm glad, Marie. That's awesome. But you can always reach me at that email that we've been sending things out at. And I'm working on getting um, texting set up as well. So you'll be able to text us or we'll be able to text you in the future as well. Good. Awesome, folks. That's great. Awesome. I love it. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. You were an incredible audience. I love how engaged you are. I can tell you're serious about this, that you're committed. and that you're going to have great things come into your life soon. Awesome. And if you have a chance, again, I'll leave the link here at the end, but oops, that is not the right thing. I was trying to leave the link. Here we go. Let's see what I make it to. There we go. There it is. That's the link. But if you do have a chance, I'd love to dive deeper into your specific experience and we can do in a group and see if there's any way I can help you move forward. All right. No, yeah, no pressure. All right. Awesome sauce, folks. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I'll see you soon. All right. Have a good one. Peace.